Continue with our electricity crisis. Eskom says workers on wildcat strikes are back at work. They embarked on action last week following a deadlock in wage talks, but unions will meet bosses again on Friday. The utility is expected to table a revised wage offer then. The strikes caused rolling blackouts to be pushed to stage 6 yesterday. For more on this, I am joined by Eskom spokesperson Sikonathi Mantshantsha. Sikonathi, thank you very much for speaking to us here on All Angles. Let's start with your reaction possibly to the interview that Nqobile Madlala has just had with the spokesperson of City Power, basically blaming Eskom and the power cuts for their inability to bring back power to the city of Johannesburg residents.
The reality is that City Power runs the electricity system in the Johannesburg municipality in many of the areas. Eskom distributes electricity in the others. And yes, of course, it is absolutely correct that the substations that both City Power and Eskom run were never designed to be switched on and off, and that on its own will present some technical challenges. This, unfortunately, is the situation that everybody who is in the electricity industry and indeed consumers find themselves in.
So I assume that you're saying that as consumers, we're just going to have to grin and bear it.
I wouldn't be that brave, Masego, as to tell people to grin and bear it. But the reality of the matter is load shedding gets implemented only as a last resort in order to protect the system. Naturally, there will, of course, be inconveniences, and it is regrettable and totally undesirable. It will have negative consequences, and Eskom is doing everything that it can to limit any damage and indeed to limit the load shedding itself. As I have said, load shedding only gets implemented as a last resort, and we apologize to the people of South Africa for having to put 60 million people through these inconveniences and the shortages, the disastrous situation that these at times may provide.
All right, let's talk about the unprotected strike. You're saying that workers are seemingly coming back and reporting for duty. Just tell us, how's it looking so far in terms of those who are supposed to actually go and do some maintenance work to take us out of stage 6?
We do have workers returning to work, but it would not be accurate to say everybody that should be at work at this point has returned. Certainly, the levels of attendance have increased from the previous few days. There are still some power stations with a very low attendance, and indeed others where there still are some protests outside of the power stations. There has not been a significant obstruction as yet of people going in there. And certainly the incidents, while there are some incidents of violence or intimidation that have been reported in the last few hours, again, these have reduced from the levels where the strike was at its height over the past few days.
Just give us some clarity here, Sikonathi. Yesterday we heard the minister saying that it looks like Eskom and the employees have reached some sort of agreement, or the unions. And then there was a statement, a joint statement by the unions representing some of your workers, a majority of them, saying that, lambasting basically the minister and saying that there's no agreement that has been made so far, and that they feel that the minister is going to actually, affect the talks that need to continue. So just give us some clarity there. We don't know who is correct at the moment. Has Eskom reached an agreement, or are talks continuing on Friday?
I can confirm that Eskom's management did meet with 2 labor unions yesterday, and they had positive and fruitful discussion in which an agreement on the way forward was reached. This requires, of course, the labor unions to present the offer to their employees, and the wage talks at the Central Bargaining Forum will resume on Friday, and that is when we will get an outcome whether the offer has been accepted by the workers on the ground. There's a mechanical process that all wage negotiations have to follow. unions are mandated by their members to go negotiate on their behalf. And when unions have an offer they feel they can present to their members, then they go and canvass their views. This is what the labor unions are doing currently. And of course, the labor unions feel so confident that they may have a deal such that they have requested their members to return to work and resume duty and to serve the people of South Africa. The details of that offer and whatever discussions there may be will all be at the Central Bargaining Forum, where an agreement will be reached or otherwise.
Just very quickly, Sikonathi, none of the unions had taken responsibility before for the workers deciding to stay away from work last week. Now, of course, that they are part of it, they believe that a positive outcome would come on Friday. If the workers don't agree to what you're offering, what does that mean? And how are you going to balance the fact that you are a company that provides essential services for the country? Where do we see ourselves as the people who are expecting to get electricity?
We have to point out indeed that any industrial action at Eskom, an electricity services provider, is an unlawful conduct. This is an essential service where such industrial action is not permitted, and it is precisely for that reason that the trade unions did not come out and declare and pronounce that they have pulled their members out into industrial action, because they know that they will be breaking the law, and they are breaking the law by leading people into protest action. They have made this call now for workers to return to work without actually accepting or acknowledging in the first place that they had called the workers out. So when the workers respond to the offer that they are being presented with, we will then know what the way forward is. But it is already a positive development that the labor unions are encouraging people to return to work and normalize the situation, because we all have a responsibility to 60 million South Africans to provide the electricity that they so desperately need, which they have needed even way before the industrial action. The labor unions have that obligation. The workers themselves have an obligation to the of South Africa.
All right. Thank you so much, Sikonathi Mantshantsha, the spokesperson for Eskom. Talks resume on Friday, and you and I, of course, are hoping that everything goes well. We don't want to see ourselves continue with state sticks.